Hey, this is Dr. Drew. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be exploring mastering hydration and why drinking pure water by itself is not enough to hydrate your tissues. You need a lot more than water to get hydrated. Most patients I consult with are chronically dehydrated and they don't even know it. But I look at their symptoms and what they're coming in with, and a lot of it just stacks up to dehydration at the cellular level. How do we fix that? We're going to explore that in a few minutes here. But I always do a calculation with patients, I do a recall with patients, and chronic dehydration is an absolute epidemic. So you want to make sure that you're drinking the right kind of water and you're getting electrolytes and other various things that we're going to talk about in order to properly absorb and utilize it, because water is only good if it gets to the cellular level. We should probably talk about some other things that hydration is important for. Your digestive system is like a river. And I always tell people this, the river cannot run dry. So if you want a good functioning digestive system, you need to make sure you get properly hydrated. Water is also important for energy, right? Your brain, it floats in a watery fluid. Your joints, so people have joint pains and brain fog and energy issues, could be from dehydration. Body temperature control is also regulated by fluids. You know, when you sweat, when you get too hot, sweating goes to the surface of the skin and it helps you regulate your body temperature. I could go on, but hydration is so important it can't be missed. I'll often just get people hydrated and 50% of their chief concerns or things they came in with are gone. So it is that important. Now, when it comes to water, a lot of people are told that you should get a Brita filter, you should get an expensive filter at home, you should purify and distill the water. But what you have to understand is if you find water and natural springs in nature, that water has what's called TDS, or total dissolved solutes, within it. And this is the most important part that I need everyone to get, is water will absorb and function better in your body if it has the naturally occurring electrolytes with it. This helps absorption through the gut lining, as well as it creates a gradient so that water can get to the cells. If you drink pure water, stripped, distilled, that water is basically zero. It has a total dissolved solute of 0. And so that water goes into your system and it actually pulls trace minerals from your tissue in order for it to work. So now you're losing minerals from your tissue in order to help this water absorb. Why not just consume that water naturally with salts, with electrolytes, as a spring water, for example? And that makes a huge difference to getting hydrated, because when you sweat, you lose a whole lot more than just water. You're losing sodium, potassium, iodine, calcium, magnesium, all kinds of stuff are going out with it. So you need to restore that back in when you go to rehydrate. There's a sweet spot when it comes to hydration. So you don't want to overconsume, because if you overconsume and overdilute your electrolyte table, that can actually cause medical complications and potentially death. There are some headlines floating around over the last few years where people would overconsume water, and unfortunately it can cause an extreme electrolyte disturbance and it can cause fatal outcomes. So this is where the hydration, I don't think, is taught properly in the schools. People will engage in high intakes and not understand that if you don't balance your salts and electrolytes against that high intake, it can be very stressful on your organs and eventually cause problems, because your body tightly regulates sodium, potassium, and calcium. And if those get knocked out of range, that can be quite problematic. So it's always good. It's a principle I like to tell people. If you want to master your hydration, make sure to add a little bit of high quality salt to the food you cook and eat. So this could be pink sea salt, white sea salt, Celtic sea salt, and then use electrolyte solutions with your water when you're sweating a lot or if it's really hot out. And some of my favorites lately are Nuun. So N-U-U-N are great dissolvable electrolyte tablets. You can also use LMNT. They're kind of more of a recent one that's hit the market. It's got about 1,000 milligrams of sodium per serving, so quite a good hit of salt, but amazing electrolytes because they taste good. They make you crave and drink more water, and then at the end of the day, that water will better absorb and get to the cellular level right where you need it. Now, electrolytes are trace minerals that our body needs, and I think it's been wrongly demonized, especially salt and sodium, for most of my lifetime over the last 30 plus years, that salt is bad and it causes high blood pressure and it's problematic and you want to avoid it. But salt's a critical electrolyte, so you should be consuming salt on your food. You should not avoid it. Now, you have to understand that restaurants and takeout probably add salts, and those are the wrong types. But at home, if you're cooking, pink sea salt, white sea salt, and electrolyte tablets that I was alluding to earlier, definitely should use those, especially if you're an athlete or you sweat a lot or it's a hot summer day. This is stuff you absolutely want to be using. So don't fear the salt shaker. This is very important. It's great for energy, brain fog, mental clarity, as I already said. It helps regulate digestion, and it just helps get hydration to your muscles and joints so you don't have any aches or pains. It's absolutely wonderful how good life is once you get properly hydrated, so don't take this lightly. Let's talk a little bit about the sweet spot. How much water should you be consuming? Let's talk about water and then how we add the electrolytes to it. So I use this universal calculation for pretty much every patient, body, shape, size. It works for everyone. I do 1 liter of water per 50 pounds body weight daily. So if you're 150 pounds, that would be 3 liters daily. Okay, so 1 liter per 50 pounds. This works for all shapes and sizes. That's the baseline that you need to consume for good health. But if you're exercising a lot, sweating a lot, or it's a really hot day, you might need more. That's just kind of the baseline amount to feel good. On top of that, adding salt to the food you cook and eat, and then sometimes electrolytes. So I use one called Electrolyte. It's from Physica, and it's essentially trace minerals that they've harvested from the Great Salt Lake. So they take that water, they clean it up for any impurities, but all the trace minerals remain. So it's got your sodium, potassium, iodine, calcium, magnesium. They add a few other things back into it, but wonderful blend. So then it takes that purified or distilled water from a value of 0, and then it gets it up closer to the osmolarity of your blood. And that's how these electrolytes work their magic with the water, is that now the fluids you're consuming are more similar to what your blood looks like. So there's an easy gradient of exchange in fluids, so you can get fluids to the bloodstream and eventually to the cells, and that's where you really, really want it, okay? You can also get it from food. Obviously, fruits and vegetables are loaded with electrolytes and water. It's also structured water in fruits and vegetables, so it's very easy for your body to utilize that. And then if you want to buy good quality waters, you want to look at what's called TDS, so that's total dissolved solutes. Any natural spring water, like a San Pellegrino or a variation of, is going to show you how much trace minerals is in that water. And then from there you can see right away that water is not 0. The TDS is much higher because there's lots of stuff dissolved within it, but that's naturally how it occurs. And those are the waters that you want to consume in order to hydrate well. Okay, if you're drinking a ton of bottled water or stripped water, and plastic bottles is a whole nother story. We could do a video on that, but you want to go for glass when possible, natural spring water, look for a TDS, and of course find one that you like. My preference just happens to be San Pellegrino. Signs and symptoms you might not be getting enough electrolytes is, I hear this from patients all the time, I drink a lot of water and it just rips right through me. That's because there's no osmolarity in that water, and so it's just going right through your kidneys. Just go, what can we do with this? And it just kicks it right out, versus if you have some electrolytes dissolved in the water, in it comes and it will absorb to the cellular level. Okay, it could also be muscle cramps, it could be fatigue, it could be cravings, it could be sore joints, it could be sluggish digestion, because I use a lot of electrolytes and hydration for constipation. So really a lot of different symptoms that can pop up when you're dealing with either electrolyte deficiency or water deficiency, but can't say this enough, get hydrated, get the electrolytes with it. There also may be different hydration requirements for various, whether it's demographics such as athletes, elderly, people with organ problems. So by all means, always check with your primary care physician on this. If, for example, someone's dealing with kidney disease, you won't be able to handle as much water, and your electrolyte balancing is going to be a totally different story. So if there's any ongoing kidney problems, use extreme caution and talk to your doctor first. For elderly, they're very prone, same thing with the very old and the very young, very prone to body temperature control issues and hydration and dehydration problems. So always use that liter per 50 pounds. That's a good place to start. But again, based on comorbidities, medications you're on, water pills, all kinds of stuff can mess up the fluid and electrolytes. So in these more complex demographics, you're going to want to consult with your primary care physician on that. And then athletes are blowing through way more fluid and electrolytes than the average person. So this is where it's very important for performance, power output, recovery, lots of electrolytes and lots of water. You can always weigh yourself before and after an event to see how much you need to replace. So just some thoughts there. So that wraps up this Mastering Hydration. I hope you got some good information about that. If you have someone in your life that would benefit from this information, please share it with them. Like and subscribe, and if you have any comments or questions, just please drop them below. And other than that, thank you for watching.